Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is LBC here. Gonna try to make this video as short as possible, and I really just wanted to make this video to somewhat share with my viewers and subscribers my reaction to the revisit video of What It Takes to Be a Grower. And what I really want to talk about is the first 40 minutes, which seem to incite the more, I would say, visceral reaction, or some might say that the first 40 minutes of the video was really the part that resonated the most with most of you guys out there, which I found not necessarily surprising, but somewhat interesting, given the fact that there was so much other content in the video, which I'm sure that most of you guys had seen, but those first 40 minutes definitely caused a reaction. And what I wanted to do here in this part, or I should say this video, not really this part of this video, I really would like to keep this as just a unified video, one video, is just to kind of just clear up some of my attitudes in order for people to gain a better understanding of how it is that I feel about the whole situation. To start that off, I really just want to say, first off, I stand behind 100% of what I said in that video. I did go over it again just to, make sure that I didn't make any, blunders, because it does happen. You make videos that are hour and a half long saying all that kind of shit, and you never know, you kind of know what you're saying as you're doing it, but, you never know. But after listening to it, yes, 100% wouldn't want to take anything back what I said in the video. It's mostly made up of a lot of strong opinions. And a lot of really what I just can't possibly see anyone rational thinking that the advice that I'm giving is bad. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't see that. I just can't. And I know that there's some of you out there, some of you guys out there that maybe have gotten lucky, and, kudos for you. But, at the same time, there's a lot of people that have jumped out of airplanes and have survived. But you don't necessarily want to recommend people jumping out of airplanes without parachutes. So, I wanted to kind of make that clear. And remember, this is what it takes to be a grower, after all. This is going to, kind of focus on, very, very important decisions that generally will increase your statistics in regards to being successful as a grower. And in that particular regard, what I'm addressing in the video is absolutely undeniable. Now, talking about the subject of women specifically, I first want to say that a lot of people might think that I'm, some kind of crazy woman hater, or a misogynist or something. And I just want to say that nothing could be further from the case. I don't have a hatred of women, so to speak, although it is fair to say that I guess, say it like this, guys. There's a very famous quote that says, you can either love women or you can understand them. And I am definitely the latter. I have a very clear understanding. I've been on both sides of the fence, engaged in these, somewhat, parasitic relationships, as I refer to them often. And I've also, lived the life without that, for a pretty good stretches of time, over the last decade or so. And after the culmination of both of those experiences, one decade on and one decade off, I can tell you that the latter decade is by far the best. And even though it's difficult to compare because you're not the same person, you change a lot in that time. But there is absolutely no doubt that looking back, one of the happiest things about the decisions I've made is the fact that I've never gotten married and I've never had children. Those are the two epic pitfalls of fail. If you really want to, get ahead in life, unless of course it is your just, desire to breed, and that's your whole thing. You're just going to break it down to the most common denominator of life's accomplishments, and that's what you're all about. And it, and there's nothing else for you, then feel free. I don't want to hold anybody back. But like I said in the video, I don't think, me personally anyways, will find no sympathy for you at all whatsoever when you're on the other side of the divorce. And, you lose your house and she takes the kids away. alimony, child support. I mean, you guys know the drill. You know what I'm talking about. You know, I know that a lot of people have been through it that are listening to this video. You know, they're out there. They gotta be. The percentages pretty much dictate it. So for all you guys that want to make the smarter decisions, you know, that's pretty much where it's at. And didn't want to go, you know, again, like I did in the previous video, in over into that subject again. So just take it as it is. Now, in regards to some of the attitudes that I have about women, which might come across as very negative, you know, so to, I would say the subject matter, which, you know, you didn't want to have the girls around listening, you know, for all you guys out there that have made the unfortunate decision to have girlfriends and made even the worst choice of having them listen to these videos, or I should say this specific video or this specific video series, you know, looking at women and looking at them in a light in which they are an inferior, less evolved, you know, less intelligent version of ourselves. Again, you know, I stand behind this 100%. And this is not opinion, by the way. And these are not even my original ideas, so to speak. I mean, this is, you know, scientific fact. You know, it's no surprise to anyone who has any rudimentary understanding of human biology at the genetic level. You know, there is the X and Y chromosome, which evolve independently from one another. And what that means that, you know, traits that are inherently female are passed only to females because they only carry the Y chromosome. And the same thing, of course, happens for males. And in a lot of species, you know, which are non-asexual, you know, they basically mate in pairs. There is generally always some form of sexual dimorphism. And it is not the case where the males are always the bigger, stronger dominant. You know, it depends on the species mostly. You look at birds of prey, like raptors, you know, the females are the dominant. In the spider world, females are generally the dominant. It's not only, or it's pretty much the case where females are the dominant everywhere until you get to a majority of the land predators. And then things change quite a bit. Human beings are, of course, land predators. We are apex predators, no doubt about it. There's nothing that naturally hunts us in the wild. And as time goes on, for whatever reasons, we have evolved to be the way that we are. So what are those reasons? Well, you know, if you understand evolutionary biology a little bit, it's pretty safe to say that suffering and, you know, hardship and adversity is really what breeds strengths in nature. Okay, when you look at an animal like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, it's not coddling, you know, that created that creature. Okay, the reason why the Tyrannosaur became such a vicious animal is because of the amount of adversity that it had to overcome in order to continue to, you know, progenate species, to keep breeding essentially. Because it had to deal with the harshest environments and it was able to successfully do so, you get these crazy fucking apex predator creatures. Now, when you look at the flip side of something, say like the wolf, okay, wolves are pretty vicious predators, very intelligent, you know, pack hunting animals that hunt during the day. So, you know, they got to be pretty active, male dominated, you know, alpha male. But it's very curious what happens to a wolf when it's taken in by human beings, when it no longer has to hunt, when it no longer has to, you know, have the advanced higher brain functions anymore, and when it's basically coddled, you know, and kept in a state somewhat of infancy, you know, and it never has to do all these predatory things. What starts to happen? Well, the dog becomes more of a child. It's called neoteny. You know, you start seeing, you know, changes of coloration. It will become more childlike. There's less testosterone in the animal. Its brain starts to shrink, it becomes a little bit less intelligent. You know, and this is done basically because it has been coddled. And this is basically how, you know, dogs were created by human intervention. And there's an experiment in Siberia called the silver fox experiment, where same things were basically done. They take all these super aggressive foxes, 1 out of 100 of them are you know, not so aggressive. They isolate those, they only breed those, and then eventually the species begins to change. You know, its head will shrink, it becomes smaller, becomes all crazy, you know, different colors, kind of starts looking more like a dog, less aggression. physically weaker. You know, you're basically, it's becoming more of a childlike animal. So with that being said, we take ourselves now and we start looking at the human species through this type of lens. It doesn't take long to understand why women are the way that they are and that men are the way that they are. You know, throughout our evolution, you know, women have basically been coddled all the way throughout. When we go out and hunt, they stay back and, you know, basically take care of the kids. A lot of their activities are very low risk and are not really requiring you know, an active mind, so to speak. You know, when you look at the groups of males that had to go out in hunting parties and had to bring down fucking mastodons, required you know, a lot of intelligence to do that. Required a lot of, you know, physical attributes, skills, just, you know, things that the females simply did not need. And this is demonstrated in our human evolution. And it's not our fault it's this way. You know, nature basically said, look, girls, it's going to take you 9 months to make a baby, and that baby is going to require a shitload of attention before it becomes self-sustaining. And given the fact that the females have been given this burden, unfortunately, it gave men an excess of, or I should say a surplus of human capital. You know, we don't have to deal with this shit. So basically we trade our excess human capital, give the women the protection and, you know, provide the food and do all that fun shit, basically do the dangerous work, all the heavy lifting. And then the women kick back and, you know, essentially act as incubators. And this is basically how it went for, you know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. So when I say, you know, these types of things, I'm not saying it because I necessarily hate women, but you have to understand the context. You know, women are generally bred and designed, you know, to operate this way. And ultimately, because men go out and we have to do all these, you know, really high risk, crazy things, you know, we evolve quicker. You know, we have to become smarter to take down bigger game. And to survive. You know, the whole civilization rests on our shoulders. And once, you know, men started to understand this, then we start creating concepts such as family and then civilization, society. I mean, we basically do it all. It's the, you know, the legacy of manhood, so to speak. It's a very proud one. And it's just unfortunate that it's being, you know, at least in recent decades, being held in such negative light because of feminist influences. And I said this before in my previous video. So, you know, when I'm talking about these things, guys, you know, don't think that I'm just some crazy woman-hating misogynist. I'm just not afraid to talk about things as they really are. And I've always done that on my channel. You know what I'm saying? So I will continue to do so. And I hope that that information, that little, you know, science tidbit was useful. And I know that for all you guys out there that do have girlfriends, you know, that sat through that, I really implore you to see what their arguments are against the statements made here in this video. But again, guys, I don't want to get too off topic. We're going to get back right back into growing. Going to be working on the macro videos, going out to checking out the nursery and some of the things that have been going on there in the production line. But that's pretty much more the same. And then, yeah, we'll move on with other content. And that's pretty much that. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you all next time.